Look at me. Oh, look at me. I'm an American and I just bought a classic Mini. I know everything about the United Kingdom now. Oh, ask me anything. Ask me anything. Hey, hold up. Come back. What, you don't want to? Okay, I'll tell you. In England, UK, there are boobs on late night TV and schoolboys never wear long pants. And the whole country is the size of Delaware and that's why cars are so small. Isn't this exciting? I'm going to set my homepage to BBC World and pretend to care about whatever's going on in Budapest. Alcoholism in Wales? How droll! Morrissey.
Still British after all these years. Whoa, still British after all these years.
1966 Morris Mini. At first glance, a classic Mini looks like a four-wheeled version of that little bag rich girls keep their dogs in. But then that's kind of the point. These were cars that were privileged for their aesthetic. And thanks to Vaporwave, aesthetic just means I like it because it sucks. It was, and is, fashionable to be seen in these things. Look at it. This car is the exact opposite of what American consumers thought a British car would be in the late 50s and early 60s. And hey, that's on us. America is many things, but it hasn't always been that open about foreign cultures, even if the foreign cultures speak the same language. Americans expect stuffiness from Brits. We expect rain-soaked hamlets and fussy wives making meat pies with arms folded and wearing blank expressions worthy of Buckingham Palace. So the Morris Mini was a reminder that the Brits knew their cars, and in some ways, knew cars better than we did. Because from 1964 to 1967, the Morris Mini pulled a Mopar NASCAR on the Monte Carlo Rally thanks to its efficient 91 horsepower engine and its uncanny tight handling. I mean, this is a daily driver for the owner. I've never driven a classic Mini before. I heard about their handling, but I was unprepared for how good it was. This car is 50 years old, and it handles better than modern cars. Flabbergasted is a good word to describe how I felt driving this. How is it doing this? How is this car faster in a tight corner than a Fiesta ST? And it was also among the most fuel-efficient cars of its era, adding to its popularity. It changed the popular perception of what a small car could do, and yet, getting to this point required a lot of patience and planning. History time. In 1952, Nuffield Motors, so British that name, and Austin Motor Company, yes, I could smell the tobacco, merged to become the British Mustache Corporation. It was a partnership that neither company wanted, but neither could afford to pass up, since the post-World War II economy was sadder than the Futurama with Fry's dog. Factories were closing left and right, and resources were difficult to come by, and this is without even getting to the fuel shortage, because there is always a fuel shortage. Of course, the good thing about a fuel shortage is that it forces manufacturers to come up with ways to get better mileage. Ultimately, it was BMC chairman Leonard Lord who hired Sir Alec to craft something that wasn't just fuel efficient, but also would be capable of comfortably seating four, which this car does. Oh, and it had to be affordable. Since people were pinching pennies so hard, Lincoln let out a cry from across the pond and beyond the grave. Case in point, the BMC shaved costs by requiring Sir Alec to use a pre-existing 950cc four-cylinder BMC engine first. Sir Alec got to work innovating by mounting the engine transversely, with the transmission seated beneath the engine to conserve space, and he then designed a rubber cone suspension to allow the car's small frame to deal with the weight of four passengers. And by the time he was done, BMC requested that Sir Alec ditch the 950cc engine and instead use an 848cc engine. Sure, it would make the Mini slow, slower, but the trade-off was that it would be seen as safer and appeal to some sort of broader sensibilities in the market in the UK at the time. Because 950 cc's is close to a liter, and a liter is how much Gordon's dear old dad needed to become sociable at Christmas time. Repressed memories. Together, the BMC, Neefield and Austin Motors were approaching the unknown. And they were doing it with ambition rather than fear, unlike those people who go on the Catfish show instead of just using Google like a normal person. If you remember nothing from any of it, remember this gear shift. Either this car has synchros or it doesn't, and each possibility is equally terrifying. Right, okay, you got your H pattern you got your H pattern right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. H. 4 speeds. Except this thing is on a slant, so it feels like you're shifting. When the owner told me how to shift, it feels like you're shifting from 1 to 3rd, but you're shifting from 1. No. I mean, it feels like you're shifting from 1 to 4th. You're shifting at an angle here. Your throw from 1st to 2nd is not parallel with the doors. Think about that. Every single car you drive, you understand that there's 4 lines inside the car. There's the line of the doors, the line of the inside of your seat, and then 2 lines coming down from the gear shifter. But they're not there in this car. That gear shifter, the pattern, maybe something was up with it. It felt like it was twisted. It felt like I was shifting on an angle. And you had to force yourself not to shift from 1st to 2nd in your mind. I'm shifting in down where 2nd I think it is, and there's a wall there. It's just, I have to shift sideways. It is everything in my ball sack not to revert to old, trite explanations of a classic Mini's handling and grip. I felt the same way driving this car as I did in the early years of high school and reading Catcher in the Rye for the first time. I get it. It speaks to me. But everything reads true. Did the UK ever have anything close to the popularity of them? Oh, is this your Mustang? You had the Cortina. You had the Triumph TR7. But I think of no other car that is as ruthlessly British in the same way that a Mustang is American as hell. I could see myself owning one of these things. I could see one of these in my future. Not the immediate future. But I worry if I owned one, I would start referring to that stuff that comes out of a pump as petrol. I would have opinions about tweed, but I'd be completely uninformed in my choices. Even approaching this car was warm. A Mini is as welcoming as Fred Rogers' smile. It's generally sweet and sincere, like the Bare Naked Ladies' Gordon album. It's a car that's in on its own joke, but everybody's laughing, including itself. But the Mini isn't self-conscious about its size in the way some other smaller car brands tend to be. This kind of confidence is rare. Too often, you get that guy who's boastful about his size almost to the point of desperate optimism. You know, asphalt queens. So he buys a condom that's too big and it slides off, and now he has to buy the morning after pill and get tested for all the things. The Mini resulted in a breed of sudden elitism that privileged the union of aesthetic and function that this car represented in the 60s. It's a type of elitism that ignored the history behind the car, why it was necessary and why it worked. No one thinks about how a big impetus for the Mini was, BMC trying to outdo German engineers in the fuel efficiency department. Lay people just see a cool car and boldly claim that they don't make them like this anymore. It's like the people who think true hip-hop died with Biggie, or that rock and roll hasn't been the same since Leonard Skinner's plane augured into the ground. It's that type of elitism that ignores the past and completely misses the present. Because who needs to see the forest when the trees are this pretty?
Hello there, you lovely British broodmare. You gave birth to smaller car renown. How are you freaking faster than STs in the city? We can drive a Morris Mini if we want, and we'll act super British. And we'll have Boxing Day with Christmas and act like Top Gear isn't on the air.